My dear gamers and game enthusiasts, What? What's up, it's Luca, and welcome back to Showman Gaming, the only channel where we dissect the triumphs and tragedies of the gaming world with surgical precision. Today we're diving into the craters left behind by some of the most disastrous game launches in history. Yes, these are the games so flawed, so broken that even the developers had to say, "We're sorry." Grab your controllers and brace yourselves for a wild ride through gaming's Hall of Shame. Cyberpunk 2077, the crown jewel of hype turned horror. Promised as the definitive experience of open-world RPGs, CD Projekt Red's futuristic adventure was instead plagued by game-breaking bugs, poor console performance, and, oh yes, floating NPCs. The backlash was so fierce, the studio issued refunds and vowed to fix the game. PlayStation even removed it from its online store for console players. 5 years later, in 2025, since its launch, they're still patching it, and actually the game is fantastic now, with awesome mods to play with. Next up, No Man's Sky, the game that promised the universe but delivered a lonely void, at least in the beginning. Just like Cyberpunk 2077, the developers over at Hello Games has turned No Man's Sky into the de facto space exploration video game it's actually worth playing now. Nonetheless, when developer Hello Games faced the wrath of an entire galaxy of gamers when key features like multiplayer and thriving ecosystems were nowhere to be found, as they promised in 2016, the team had a long road ahead to fix a game that seemed to flop in even basic gameplay areas. But to their credit, they worked tirelessly to redeem themselves, and today, No Man's Sky is a whole new game. Battlefield 2042 dropped us into a futuristic war zone, and chaos reigned supreme. Missing key features like a scoreboard, rampant bugs, and unbalanced gameplay left players seething. DICE's apology came in the form of delayed updates and eventual fixes. With patch notes to fix a game becomes the norm in today's gaming landscape, it's only a matter of time before the bubble will burst. Fallout 76, where the apocalypse truly felt like the end. From its lackluster content to infuriating bugs and even a scandal over cheap nylon bags in the collector's edition, Bethesda had a lot of explaining to do. Their apologies were followed by numerous patches and some free loot. Coming from Fallout 4, the fact that this even happened is crazy. BioWare's Anthem was supposed to be the Iron Man simulator we all dreamed of. Instead, it felt like a glorified demo with little content and endless grind. Not to mention, this game was so glitchy and undersold in the market that EA and BioWare eventually apologized and even tried to reboot the game, before quietly abandoning it. BioWare, please stick to Mass Effect. Haha, more on that later. SimCity's always online requirement turned a beloved franchise into a logistical nightmare. Players couldn't even access the game due to server overloads. EA eventually apologized and patched in an offline mode. Revolutionary, I know. What doesn't this company mess up these days? Warcraft 3 Reforged, more like Warcraft 3, downgraded this botched remaster, stripped beloved features, and introduced new bugs. Blizzard's apology included refunds, but the damage to their reputation was already done. Do you guys not have phones? Blizzard's tone-deaf response to the backlash against Diablo Immortal's announcement set the internet ablaze. While the game's monetization mechanics drew ire, the apology was less of a fix and more of a shrug. Not only did BioWare mess up Anthem, but they nearly destroyed EA's crown jewel, the Mass Effect franchise, with their next entry, Mass Effect Andromeda. It took us to a new galaxy, but with some seriously awkward facial animations and shallow storytelling. BioWare's apology came in the form of patches, but the game's initial stumble was unforgettable. Ubisoft's Assassin's Creed Unity was a revolution in how not to launch a game. The horrifying glitches, from floating eyes to vanishing faces, turn the streets of Paris into a nightmare. Ubisoft apologized with free DLC and a lesson learned. Ubisoft has been on a fumble tour for a while, and Assassin's Creed Shadows will not help their case, and there you have it. 10 games that remind us even the titans of gaming, Wumpe can stumble, but hey, redemption is possible, and some of these titles managed to claw their way back from disaster. Until next time, keep gaming, and remember, beware the hypey. And so check us out on Patreon below, as it helps the channel as well, and watch my previous video on water levels in video games.